Good to see you all. So this is our last session on the urban scenes and buildings project. But if you want to carry on, that's absolutely fine. Next month, the project is people and figures in particular. So over the week, different weeks, cover different aspects of drawing people and figures. And I thought it also might be quite nice to do a little bit of very quick sketching, maybe sketching of each other, just a little bit from life, sort of 5 to 10 minute sketches. So that could be included as part of the project, either next week or one of the weeks. So if you've got sketchbooks, feel free to bring them in. If not, I've got this paper for that. So yeah, I thought I'd do a little bit of a demonstration of painting. I'll use acrylics, but really it's the same sort of approach that I would use with oils. I've brought in a couple of examples. So these are the sorts of things that I would paint street scenes. And these are all in oils and they're all done on location. So I've tended to work just in one session. That would have been about 3 or 4 hours working away on that one. The way I go about it, I generally kind of put blocks of colour everywhere and then I'll work into those. So I'll paint a little bit of a passage through. I'm not going to paint the whole block because it'd take it too long. But so I might put, say, mix some sort of pinky colours here. That's a little bit too, a bit more crimson with that. So to me these bricks are mostly a pink colour, pinkish colour. Something through there. I'll just work around one of these windows. I think that side is slightly lighter. The light's catching that side more, so that can just go a little bit lighter. Do a little bit around there. Takes a passage through. I'll go back to this bit. So I've basically popped that in everywhere. Some bits are a little bit duller, so I've just add a little bit of blue to that, just to grey it down a little bit. So just add some of that in. It just looks too bright. Just dull that down a little bit. With things like, and then I'll put a bit on the roof. Got some darker browns mixed here. So I mixed blue and brown to make a greyish blacky colour for the roof. This is going to be a little bit too dark, and I tend to quite like to go a little bit too dark and then put some lighter colours into that. And I rather like these square brushes for painting buildings because they're quite angular and you can get into all the little, get some nice sharp shapes. Just put a tiny bit of water into that, just make that flow a little bit easier. Go up there, come down the other side, and work into there. Same back there. And then once I'm there, I might just mix a little bit of a lighter grey into that. And that way I can break up the texture a little bit. I'm not going to try and imitate every tile. Break up the texture a little bit, hopefully give an impression of those sort of, that sort of thing. Something a little bit like that. So for the windows, well, I've got this dark mixed. I'll use that again. There's different ways of approaching it. I think in this one, some of the windows I almost sort of painted the whole thing white and then put some colours into it. So I'll do one like that. Paint the whole kind of window in like that. And then can let that dry and then paint the darker bits in. So So that's one approach. Another approach is to paint the dark and then work the light over the top. So I'll leave a little bit of a gap for the window frame. Most of that is going to be dark. And then I can either use a very small pointy brush, or I can again use the flat brush and just use it, just push the paint onto the tip, and I can make a line doing that. Something slightly rounder for this bit. Just about get rid of that. And then the window frames. Can just, it's almost like sort of printing the mark on rather than painting it really. Like that. Or the other way is to use, like I say, a nice thin round brush that comes to a good point, which this one's pretty good. Just need to make the paint flow a little bit more. And I can do the same sort of thing. And sometimes actually varying the approach makes a more interesting painting. With the other window, the idea would then be just to maybe let the work, if you've got time to let that dry, that makes it an awful lot easier. Almost sort of paint and leave the window frame as a negative shape, as it were. Just leave a little bit like that. Whoops, lodged in the wrong place. So it's a little bit less regular, but sometimes can look quite nice painted like that. So cool. And then if one wants to just indicate some of the brickwork, just go back into that with a small brush like this. Okay. So I'm going to show up, it's a bit darker. I don't tend to try and get every line of bricks in, I just paint odd bricks here and there. So a few that are a bit darker. Actually that sort of dry brush mark is quite nice. Sort of just dragging the surface because that has a little bit of texture. Some would be a little bit bluer. Some a little bit paler. So I'm taking my cues from here, but it's more of a general impression rather than copying each brick. So that's, yeah, some of the approaches I use for painting buildings.
Yeah.
Anybody want to ask anything? Makes sense.
What's the colour on the right window? Because it looks golden from here. Is
Well,
that
this
just
one.
a yellowy white?
Maybe it got a bit mixed in with
Nice,
some yellow.
nice.
I might have picked up some yellow. Well, it might be the yellow of the pencils mixed in a bit.
But you could equally do that. Is that, what is that, oils you've done that in? Or?
This is acrylics, but you
Right.
could, I would pretty much work the same way with oils, really.
Yeah, and you could do it in watercolours.
Yeah, you could do it with watercolour. With watercolour, it's kind of a different approach because using transparent paint, and you're generally working light to dark. With oils, I'm more inclined to put some of the dark colours down and then make them a bit lighter. Just quite like the look of that with oils. We could do it with that. Yep. Right, okay.
With oils, you go dark to light. You said you tend to go dark to light with oils, did you?
I tend to get the darker colours, like say if the roof was like that.
Yeah.
So going darker and then light, yeah, that's right.
But the other way around is watercolour.
Yeah. So sometimes it's nice to have like a dark tone and then sort of kind of paint lighter bits into it, a bit
Yeah.
like that, just to sort of break it up.
Yeah, just not too
I
much.
think that can work. It can work quite nicely with oils.
But in general, when you're oil painting, do you go for like the dark tones first? Or do you, because you were telling me about, you work back to front, don't you?